Hello, 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 everybody. So this week we have something a little bit different. We've been doing Rogue Kitchen with Jason as our host, doing cooking demos. And we're with him being out of town this week, we thought it'd be a good opportunity to try a different format. And we're going to do this maybe twice a month, every other week or so, where we're going to bring in a industry professional to come and talk about um, what they're doing in the industry, what's current topics, trends, how their sector of the industry is dealing with COVID, and just have some rogue conversations, as you saw on the banner. Um, so this week, let me introduce you to Meg Brown. Meg Brown is with Medically Correct. She's the director of production operations. And she's also an affiliate faculty at MSU Denver teaching can you say the name of the class again? I can never say
Yeah,
that
it's
right.
yeah, no worries. It's cannabidiol use.
Cannabidiol.
RS
I always want to say cannabidiol.
290A. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we started um, what was the first cannabis class we did? Cannabis 101. And that was with Kayla Brown. And she's also with Medically Correct, correct? Um, and she really kind of introduced our students to the cannabis industry, and just kind of a basic 101 of how the cannabis industry came to where it is now, and then how to navigate that in their careers. And now our students are mostly hospitality. Some of the students taking this class are from all around the campus, though. And so it's just a really good general information for students to know and how to navigate this space. And so let's talk a little bit about how CBD, cannabis, and everything, um, how it interacts with the hospitality industry, and like what that means for some of the hospitality students or people who are running hotels or restaurants, and just kind of where this trend is going, and you know where hospitality and CBD fit together.
Yeah, for sure. Cannabis and hospitality are two things that definitely marry well together. They are in a different spot in their relationship versus something like alcohol consumption, right, and hospitality. But I think it's definitely the cannabis industry is definitely on its way to become something similar to how we use alcohol and consume it at events and within the hospitality industry. That's certainly what the people in the cannabis industry, like myself, are proposing. And we haven't seen a ton of movement yet on the hospitality bill that passed in Denver and Colorado. And I think particularly COVID has put a pretty big damper on that, right? But that doesn't mean that there isn't movement that will be down the line. And that doesn't mean that that's not still the target for this industry for sure. I personally feel that cannabis consumers in general and people who are involved in the industry are really looking for things that allow them to be social while they consume, like a consumption lounge, or something like that, similar to where you would go to a bar and have a beer with a friend. So that's definitely what I think is probably the first and foremost thing coming down the line, specifically in Colorado. And we're seeing in a couple of different states, California specifically, where actual infusion restaurants and pairing restaurants, and places where you could go consume and eat at the same time, are coming out, and I think that's going to continue to grow too. So that's a whole nother aspect of where the union between hospitality and cannabis can go. And then I think that'll probably be it for a while, right? Trying to get more social experiences out there, places that you can go and safely consume, and potentially places where you could go and not only consume, just products that you purchase, but maybe have a restaurant or an alcoholic beverage or any kind of beverage that's infused with cannabis. And then, down the line, we're talking when federal legalization happens much further in the future. Where can you actually smoke? Is it something like cigarettes? All that kind of stuff. So there's kind of small micro stuff and then pretty big macro stuff there, but we definitely have a ways to go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I was pretty excited that the hospitality bill had passed. There was a lot of buildup, like you said, in the beginning of the year. And I know Native is one of the few hotels downtown. And what are some of the other places that were, did they actually get to open, or did COVID really kind of, you said it put a damper on it, but has it just kind of put a damper on the traction of the on-site consumption, or did it just get stopped? I don't know.
I think it just put a damper on those on-site consumption like initiatives. I don't think it's like halted in any means. I just think it's hard to
Yeah,
justify and try and figure that out right now when we're almost trying to be not social, right, in so many
yeah,
aspects of
yeah,
our day to day right now. But yeah, I know the Native Hotel for sure is allowing consumption when we're talking about hotels and stuff like that. Kayla's class is really awesome to she dives very deep into all the regulatory aspects and the legal aspects of how that relates, and a lot of it's basically state by state for sure. But yeah, I think we're going to see more and more bed and breakfasts that are 420 friendly, more hotels that are 420 friendly. It's kind of the term, right, within the industry that is like gives you the kind of the go ahead to consume responsibly on site. So that's definitely a huge step in the right direction for sure.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, just the passing of that bill was huge. So I am excited to see where that goes once everybody starts becoming more social again. Um, and so that kind of brings up my next question for you is the cannabis industry, not just in relation to hospitality, but the cannabis industry and how it's doing during COVID, during the pandemic. You know,
Yeah,
traditionally in most of hospitality, it's been really hard for everybody. But you had mentioned that for the cannabis industry, it's been a little bit different.
yeah, for sure. And I think it's one of it's pretty astonishing how different it's been, right? When we look at some of our counterparts, restaurants and bars, concert venues, sporting events, right? Cannabis has not been affected in a I guess negative way as far as production and use. If anything, it has our usage and our sales and overall production has been exacerbated. So, back when COVID initially hit in March, all the cannabis, legal cannabis, recreational and medical, or recreational specifically, states said that cannabis was, a, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a mandatory, like similar to alcohol sales, right? They
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
ban it. They
essential.
didn't
Yeah.
essential. Thank you. I don't know why.
Yep.
Sorry, I just spaced that. It was an essential good. So, um, yeah, that kind of took everything to a new level, right? I can tell you firsthand, as being an operator who works in and runs a production facility of 65 employees, it was quite nerve wracking before that announcement was made. We were not sure what was going to happen. There's a couple other states who had gone that way already, but you just don't know because it was a state to state thing, and it still is even county by county. We're dealing with COVID in a different way. So, yeah, it was awesome. We definitely had to make a lot of changes to ensure the safety of all of our employees, just as most industries and office environments and production environments had to. But what was awesome about it is that we didn't have to lay anybody off. We are actually hiring, and our volumes are higher really than ever. We've seen a huge increase throughout this entire summer since this COVID pandemic, and I think there's a couple things to contribute to that. I think an overall, you know, stress right now is high for everybody, right? This is an unprecedented time. It's very scary. We feel like now it's normal now that we're or so months in, but everyone's still dealing with a lot, right? Back in March, just as now, people had to deal with like how their kids are going to school, all that kind of stuff, and as people who are advocates of cannabis will tell you that cannabinoids have been found to relieve stress. So, I think a lot of people and a lot of consumers were maybe upping their cannabis intake, or maybe what we call the canna curious, who might not have really tried cannabis too much in the past, were feeling heightened stress levels, and they decided to see if this would be something that would help them. So I think that's one thing for sure. I think people are home more, right? So they don't have to be um, as, I guess, they don't need to be as discreet maybe because they're in their homes
Yeah, well,
and
I
they
think they
can,
also don't have to worry about driving or like,
right, exactly.
commuting
So they don't have
somewhere
to
and
worry. 100%. They don't have to worry about safety concerns with driving, because obviously consumption of any kind of mind altering substance is not okay when you're driving. So that's a huge point. I think people are just home more, so they're able to consume a little bit more freely rather than if they were in the office. And then on top of that, one thing that I think I would like to think has contributed to the increase in some of my particular company's sales is that we are probably about 85 to 95% edibles. And I think, COVID-19 specifically is a disease that is obviously really affecting your respiratory system. So I think certain people and consumers may have either moved away from ingesting cannabis in an inhalate in like via inhalation and smoking, and are
Mhm.
looking more towards edibles for that type of consumption. So I think it's probably a combination of all of those things, right? Also, the stimulus package and all that kind of stuff gave people extra funds. So, but yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Jimmy, like we've been crazy here. It's been absolutely nonstop since the beginning of March. And, my company's just really happy that we're able to employ, 65 people at this production facility and 100 total within our company throughout this entire process. And I know not all can be said for a lot of areas, especially the hospitality industry. So certainly we're taking as many precautions as possible to keep everybody safe. Dispensaries are also doing that to ensure that patients, right, and customers can still get their medication and recreational use products as safely as possible. So it's been a wild ride, as for
Yeah,
everybody. I
yeah,
don't know that I expected this, but it has been a little bit of a silver lining, I guess, that we've been able to stay open, and we're able to actually hire more people who are out of jobs right now. So
yeah. But yeah, and I mean, everybody could use a little bit of stress relief right now. And like I said, I think everybody's just kind of who either was curious is now just going out and trying or ordering and so yeah, no, I think it's great that your sector of the industry has just done so well, and it's great that you're hiring. There's so many places that aren't hiring right now, or students who are furloughed. I talk to students who are looking for internships all the time, or even just work positions, and a lot of them haven't thought about the cannabis industry, and so I've sent it out to them, and hopefully we get some response from them too. But I
yeah,
wanted to go back. So when it was deemed an essential good, um, was that the same time that Denver had the prohibition for 2 hours?
yes.
Did you guys have the same run on dispensaries as liquor stores did?
Yeah, it was madness. I personally didn't visit any of the dispensaries that during that time, but we were told that lines were insane. Like everybody it was a mad dash, you know what I mean, to get everything that they possibly could, thinking that they might not be able to for quite some time. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was pretty crazy. There was definitely a survived the prohibition of both, alcohol and cannabis there.
yeah. And so did that affect your production? Did you have to ramp things up to catch up?
Yeah, we had to ramp up pretty rapidly. So the timing of all this was kind of interesting, honestly, because in the cannabis industry, April 20th, which is known as 420, is kind of universally known as our Christmas or big holiday. And it's when a lot of celebrations happen. It's when a lot of like awards and cannabis kind of cups happen to take a
Yeah,
look at all the new
it's like
products.
Oktoberfest for beer. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. So, leading up to April, typically around that time is always busy. So we were already heading into that in the beginning of March. And then a lot of times after that 420 season, there's just not as much volume for production. Not Stuff isn't as moving quite as much because everyone's kind of not gotten out of the system, but they had the big celebration, just as like all the Christmas candy goes on sale right after Christmas, right?
yeah.
And Halloween and all that kind of stuff. So, because nobody really wants it, they're done with it. And we did not see that at all this year. We saw the exact opposite. We had to continue to ramp up that downfall and that decline. Kind of right after the end of April, it was the reverse. It was increasing the entire summer. And we're still continuing to grow even into the fall, and now we're heading into one of our other busy times, which is the holidays, Halloween, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. So it's been pretty much like up and up and steady the entire time. We
Nice.
definitely
That's
had
awesome.
to adjust to meet those demands for sure, hence why we need more people.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you have some positions open. I know that we have some students who watch this on the regular. If you want to talk a little bit about the positions that you have open, what it's like working for your company, what the culture at Medically Correct is like, what the leadership there is like, what just the overall work environment is like. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. So, first things first is, as I mentioned, what I do is I run the production facility here. So we have about 65 production employees at one location. And under that production facility, we are making from start to finish and distributing all of our edible products, all of our wellness and topical products, as well as all of our extracts. So all of our smokable products, and we're doing that all under one facility. So it's definitely a fast-paced, very busy environment with a lot of
mhm.
bodies moving all over the place to be able to produce the daily needs that we need. And then we also distribute all of our products to dispensaries from here. So we're a wholesaler distributor basically. Um, we don't have any kind of storefront or dispensary attached to our location or associated with our company. So it's just kind of on that back end, actually producing, packaging, and distributing all of those products. So yeah, as far as working here, it's very fast paced, as I mentioned. It's a pretty typical production facility. If anybody's ever worked in that kind of environment, you're on your feet pretty much all day. We're moving chocolates all over the place. We're making gummies. It's processing and post processing all those things. It's stuffing them into their packages and labeling them appropriately and following all of the MED enforcement guidelines. And the MED is the governing body that we, report to essentially in the cannabis industry. It's the Marijuana Enforcement Division. So yeah, it's a hustle and bustle, and it's a lot of us in here just trying to come in every day and have fun while we, basically make, cannabis goods, right? And get them out to our customers and our patients safely and efficiently. So it's a pretty typical kitchen environment, packaging environment, kind of production environment. And as for the positions that we have open, we currently run 2 shifts. So we have a daytime shift that's 4 10-hour shifts throughout the week. So it's usually 4 on and then 3 days off. And then we also have a second shift that starts about mid-afternoon. That's another 4 10-hour shift. And we are hiring for basically entry-level production associates to work in packaging and kitchen for both of those shifts, the daytime and the night and the night shift, the second shift. We're also looking for other, which let me back up a little bit. So in that day to day, it's, everything from making gummies to processing gummies and chocolates and vape pens, and it's all of those things.
Yeah, I was just
As
gonna
you
ask
would,
how many different SKUs do you have? Like
oh
how many
well,
different items?
so we probably have about 150 different SKUs that we're producing across a couple different brand lines.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's today we're working on this chocolate bar, right? That's got almonds in it. Tomorrow we're working on one that's milk chocolate with peppermint, kind of like an Andes mint, so it's every day it's a little bit different. We're making different products, but the processes are pretty much the same, and it's just working through that kind of production line, and producing everything very accurately and consistently. That's what we pride ourselves on at our company, to make sure that all of our patients, like every time you go buy one of our products, it's always going to be the same every single time.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of attention to detail is needed, right? Definitely have to learn quickly and fast on the job, because it is fast paced, but it's a really fun environment, and everyone here is just a big team. We have a ton of people who have worked here for 2 and 3 years plus. And so we always love having new people who are dedicated and want to learn quickly in this very rapidly growing industry. And it's a great place to really get in on the ground floor and learn a ton about this industry. It's constantly changing, so you definitely have to be adaptable and ready to like pivot very quickly, because things are always different.
It's the word
We
of
get
the
new
year.
regulation. Yeah, exactly, right. We get new regulations from that marijuana enforcement division, usually every 6 months, and sometimes they could be really small and not affect us too much. Sometimes they can totally um, make us have to redo a lot of our processes and all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of depends. But yeah, it's a very dynamic workplace, and we're looking for a lot of people for those daily production jobs, as well as some other more specialized in a couple different like roles, including distribution. So we have a separate distribution team that doesn't necessarily make and pack all the products, but they do get all the orders ready and accurate to go out to our dispensaries, which is super important, so that all of our customers and our stores get what they requested and they ordered. And we're also hiring for some delivery drivers and couriers to drive those products to our customer dispensaries. And other kind of like jobs are like inventory kind of coordinators and analysts to keep track and help us stay organized in all of our ingredients and all of our packaging, with 150 to 170 SKUs. Each of those has different components, right, that are um, made up with it. Some use dark chocolate, some use white chocolate. They all have different packaging components. So it's a lot of sub SKUs, right, to keep straight. So
Yeah.
definitely have areas for growth in the inventory department, and then also sanitation, keeping our big facility clean and on point towards making sure that we're completely up to health code and everything like that. So, and I think you have that sheet that has all those on there, right,
Yep.
that you
Yep.
posted.
Yeah. And
Perfect.
we can actually post that in the chat here later on.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. And so I think what's important for hospitality students, particularly ones who are interested in the food industry, with restaurants only being at so much, there comes a time where we want to look at different sectors of the industry, and production is a huge sector of the food industry that a lot of people
Totally.
forget about. And
Yeah.
doing production where you're doing thousands of chocolates at a time, and learning how to make them exactly the same every single time, and being so precise that you know exactly how many micrograms of something is in there is important, and it's a good skill to have. And then on top of that, the supply chain piece, with
Yes.
um, back in March, like through April, May, June, the supply chain in every industry was affected. And so being able to manage that inventory and, knowing where your products are coming from and being able to expect that, and just having that understanding of the whole supply chain, distribution, like wholesaling, everything, is just right now is a really great opportunity to get into that and see that. And if you want to get back into restaurants as they open up, or into food service operations
Yeah,
or something else,
catering, all
this
those types of things.
experience, yeah, this experience is so important for moving forward now, right?
Yeah.
Because I think no matter what industry you're in, but particularly in the food industry, um, there's going to be so many different regulations that we all have to live with now, and how, and being more precise and more clean and more, um, having controls over everything, where you have logging everything.
Yep.
That's going to become the standard in smaller restaurants, even
Yes.
not just in
Totally.
large production facilities. So right now is a really great opportunity to get this experience. And then, maybe it may be a complete career shift, and maybe it may end up being something that you love and you end up doing. Maybe it's not, but it's a skill that you'll learn, right?
Yeah, the skills that you can
So,
learn in a place like Medically Correct, being in any of the roles that I just talked about that we're hiring for are so transferable to not only just hospitality and production of food, right, but tons of other things, as you mentioned, the supply chain, working in a huge environment with 65 different people, the cooperation and teamwork and communication that it takes to work in that type of environment and keep things moving and accomplish the daily goals and the weekly goals and then the larger goals that we need to. So yeah, it's an awesome opportunity to kind of get in, like I said, on the ground floor, learn a lot, obviously a lot about cannabis, but it's only one part of what we're doing. We're really making food products that need
yeah,
to go out to people safely, just like you would when you pick up, Twinkies off of Walgreens, right? We're making consumer packaged goods. It's just a little bit different. It's got a little bit different stuff in it, but the regulations and the rules and all that, are going to continue to grow and develop, similar to how factories and stuff produce for the Walmarts and the Sprouts and all those types of stores. So that's kind of it. This is a good kind of place to get like a small scale to then keep growing with in whatever way you change your career, cannabis or not.
yeah, yeah. Now, remind me, do I remember correctly that you have a culinary degree?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have a bachelor's in communications and business from the University of Illinois in Champaign, Urbana. And then I that's where I grew up. I grew up outside Chicago. So I went to school in
Nice.
Illinois for my undergrad. And then after moving out to Colorado for a little bit, I decided to go back to school and I went to Johnson and Wales in Denver and got my associates in culinary arts there. So, and that's like, I wouldn't say like it's definitely those types of degrees are not required to work in cannabis. We're getting more specialized people, but don't feel like, oh, I'm business administration and hospitality or something like that, and I wouldn't fit in the kitchen. That's not the case at all. We have people from all different backgrounds within my kitchen. Some have walked in with absolutely no cooking experience or no production and no cannabis experience, and then some have a ton. So it's really whatever. And as long as you're looking for an opportunity where you can grow and really learn and be a sponge and add to our team and have that kind of dedication and motivation to do a great job for a company and the whole team, like it's a great opportunity, and it doesn't really matter what your skill set is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, awesome. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know, what you want me to talk about my class a little bit?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we went going down the industry side.
No
Yeah, like
worries.
let's tell everybody what it's like, what a CBD class is like at MSU Denver.
Yeah, so this is the first semester we're teaching this class. Again, it's RST 290A cannabidiol use. And as Jimmy mentioned, it's the second course that we've developed at MSU related to cannabis and cannabinoids. Kayla Brown teaches the other one that's specifically more targeted towards hospitality and regulation and kind of a 101.
No
Um,
relation, right?
and no relation, no, yeah. We just work the same. We work together and do everything together. Yeah. This class that I'm teaching is um, a more in-depth look at kind of how production of finished goods works, and we talk a lot about different aspects of cannabis, including cultivation, plant anatomy, extraction, and kind of like why all those pieces are important as you're working in a production facility or developing cannabis products. We also talk a lot about regulation and labeling requirements, because that is such a huge, important part of the cannabis industry. Testing, marketing, because everything's a little bit different in cannabis. So we're kind of talking about all of that. And in addition, we do some history on cannabis and cannabinoids. And also, we talked a lot about the endocannabinoid system and like why cannabinoids actually give humans the effects that they do. So it's a really well-rounded course, I hope. Yeah, this is the first time I'm teaching. Like I said, I am already signed up for next semester. And it is being hosted again virtually on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday nights again next semester from 5 p.m. to 7:50 p.m. So I know that enrollment's happening soon. So if you're interested, please check it out. And if you have any questions about the course, Jimmy, I'm sure you'll throw my MSU contact in there for anyone. I'm more than happy to tell anybody a little bit more in depth about what you're learning and kind of the goal of the course. So would love to talk about it. And also in the course we're doing right now for this semester, we're doing 2 virtual labs. I'm actually making a couple of CBD infused products. This semester we made a topical and we're making an edible chocolate. So plan to do that again next semester. And right now we're doing that virtually, a virtual lab. So it's been kind of interesting changing all of that into, virtual, but so far it's been great. So.
Yeah, and so we've been doing those virtual labs similar to our virtual cooking classes.
Right.
We've talked about this on the Rogue Kitchen show with Jason, where we do distributions of food to students.
Yes.
We also have our wine tasting classes and beer tasting classes where we do distributions of various wines, various beers, and then we host virtual tastings. And so similarly for this class, we're distributing certain products, and then you go through and in Microsoft Teams, you show them how to do it. Now, do you do that in your kitchen or do you do it in your facility?
I in my home kitchen so far.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Yeah, which is where the students are, so it's familiar to them. So
right. Yeah, and some people were just watching the lecture and then doing it later, but most of the students were following right along. We made it pretty easy, so it doesn't take a lot of equipment. Pretty much a microwave will do it. And yeah, everyone had a really good time. So
nice, awesome. All right, well, if you have any last words or any piece of advice you would give to students who are trying to finish their degree during this pandemic, and any advice, or if you could put something on a billboard. I think Tim Ferriss does that. Like, if you could put one piece of advice on a billboard, do you have anything you want to?
I don't know.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I know you're putting me on the spot. I would just say that keep your head up. It's kind of a cliche, but take this everything that we're going through right now and everything that you're dealing with as a learning experience. It's all different for everybody. Have some compassion for yourself and others, and get out of this, okay? And we'll be better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you and Medically Correct for all that you do, helping keep everybody's stress levels down.
Yeah, we hope so.
and for hiring people and considering our students and helping educate them too. Thank you so much. You do so much for us, and thanks for joining us here too for our first episode.
Of course. Thank you. Right back at you. MSU has been such a great partner for myself, and we're excited to continue to grow this cannabis operations degree down in the future. So if you have any questions about what we talked about today, the jobs at my company or my class, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Jimmy, and I would love to chat with all of you.
Yeah, and for everybody out there, I'll post a PDF of the jobs that are available and your contact info. So perfect. And my contact info too. Reach out to either of us. So
awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and have a great night.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.